It's something that gets overlooked because it seems simple, right? I'm just going to write the lineup and roll with it. But there's a lot of key elements that go into it and go into doing it correctly. I'm coaching our 17U team this fall. Now I've coached our 15U team all spring and summer. And with the fall season coming up, we have a lot of multi-sport athletes. We have football players, we have soccer players. So what we did was we took a little bit of a combination of our 15s, our 16s, and 17s, and we combined them into one team. So as I mentioned, a lot of these kids I've coached for years. Some of the kids I just met for the first time, other kids I've heard about and I've seen in passing. But with the fall season coming up, we only have a couple practices. So far we've had 2 indoor hitting sessions, and I'm kind of in an information gathering stage, right? I'm trying to meet my players for the first time. I'm trying to understand who they are as players, as people, what makes them tick, what they do well. It's important for me as a coach to not just roll into the first practice and start hammering out mechanics, right? I don't want to just meet this kid for the first time and say, you have to do this. I want to understand how his mind works, what he thinks about at the plate, what's his approach. So I'm having a lot of conversations with our guys in the batting cages, asking what are some things you've struggled with, what are some goals you have for this upcoming season, what are some things you're trying to be better at and, work towards. And I'm asking a ton of questions, which is good because now we have an open dialogue. We can communicate. I trust the player. The player starts to earn trust in me because a lot of them don't know who I am yet. And then I can go back and say, here are a couple things that I see. Why don't you try this out? Or, this is our offensive philosophy this season. Let's try to implement this. Especially for fall ball. And I know a lot of you coaches are out there getting ready for your fall season. It's different than the spring and summer because fall ball, you're dealing with the whole month of August. There is no baseball. Kids are on vacation. Kids are getting ready for school. And now all of a sudden you have a crash course of practice in 2 weeks and your season starts, as opposed to the spring where you might have 2 months leading up to your first game where you're actually on the field, you're practicing, and you have a lot larger of a sample size to, pick from and see who fits where in your lineup. So, we're getting ready. We have 2 outdoor practices coming up. We don't play this weekend, but we play next weekend. So I have 2 indoor practices. I'll have an extra, hitting session next week and 2 outdoor practices to really decide what's our team going to look like on opening day. So again, I'm taking a lot of notes. I've actually written down a depth chart. So I drew a baseball field. I'm writing down what positions I see where guys fit. And I'm also writing out several lineup cards. I'm writing down, who do I think the leadoff hitter is going to be? Who's going to bat second? Who's going to bat third? And it shuffles around a little bit. And it's not going to be perfect on day one. Just like a lot of you coaches out there, you're not going to write the perfect lineup card on day one. So it's important that we talk to our players. I talked to our guys already and said, listen, the lineup might shuffle around a little bit. We're going to move guys in certain different spots, on the field as well as a lineup to see who fits where, who produces well in certain spots. And, it's my job now to understand who can run, who can steal bases, who's going to put the ball in play consistently, who's going to be our power guys, and try to work a lineup to where it's going to gel, the kids are going to mesh, and we're going to work well off one another as you work down from, 1 through 9, 1 through 10, 1 through 11. For my group, I mentioned it's a 17U team. So we have several pitcher onlys on our team. So when I'm doing the lineup, I have to understand that these pitcher onlys aren't going to hit. So I'll have a DH, a designated hitter, in their spot in the lineup, as well as an EH or an XH, extra hitter, and another extra hitter to get to 10 or 11 guys if possible. A conversation that I'm also having with our guys is, depending on where you play high school, you might be batting 2, 3, or 4 for your high school, but you might be batting 7th, 8th, or 9th on our team right now. That doesn't mean you're not a good hitter. That doesn't mean I don't see you as a 2, 3, or 4 hitter. But when you look at the amount of talent on our team, we really have to, take a look at who's ahead of you and say, this is where I see you fitting right here. This is why I think you're going to get a lot of good pitches to hit in this spot in the order. And we're loaded up with talent. So me communicating with the kids up front takes the questioning out of it. You don't want to, leave it up to a parent on the car ride home to try to dissect your lineup. I would try to get ahead of it. I would talk to your players and say, this is where you fit right now. I see you as a very important part of our team. And just because you're not batting 4th doesn't mean I don't see you as a 4 hitter. You're just going to be our 8 hitter right now. And your job is to be the best 8 hitter you can possibly be. I had a coach one time tell me, dominate the role that you have. So dominate where you're at, and the rest is going to take care of itself. So if I'm batting 8th, my job isn't to point fingers and say, well, I think I should be batting 2nd or 3rd. My job is to find a way to be the best number 8 hitter I can be, right? What can I do to help my team win today? So I'm in the 8 hole. I'm going to be the best 8 hitter on the field. I'm going to be the best 8 hitter, in our area. If I'm batting second, well, now I got to keep that job. So I have to work really hard to be the best 2 hitter I can possibly be. If I'm a bench player to start the season, well, I have to dominate that role. I have to do a really good job at being a team guy, at being a top step player, at warming up the outfielder. And, it's not easy, because at one point or another, as you get older, you're going to take on a role that you haven't really taken on before as a player. And, I got to college and I didn't play for my first couple of weeks. I had buddies that they'd sit at the end of the dugout, they'd sulk, they'd complain, they're pointing fingers, wondering why they're not in the lineup. And as hard as it was for me, I tried to just own that role. I was warming up guys. I was taking swings in between innings. I was trying to stay loose. This way, when my number did get called in the 7th inning and it was 42 degrees and we were playing at Rhode Island and my coach said, you got to pinch hit. Well, now I'm ready. But if I'm sitting at the end of the dugout complaining the whole time, disagreeing with every move the coach makes, well, now my mind's not in the right spot. I'm not loose. I'm not ready. I'm not looking what the pitcher's doing on the other team. And, I'm not ready to perform and I'm not ready to play. And it's a conversation that we as coaches have to have with our guys as we enter into the season. The last thing you want is an email after day 1 saying, why is my kid batting 9th? Well, if we do a good job communicating and talking to the players and letting them understand our thoughts behind the lineup and where we see guys fit or where we see guys fit on our team, the better off we're going to be, down the road. This way that kid gets in the car, they look at mom and dad and say, no, I talked to coach already. I'm batting 9th because A, B, and C, right? So-and-so is batting 2 or 3 right now because he had a really good first 2 weeks of practice. He's got a good track record. I'm just going to do whatever I can to hold my spot in the lineup and maybe move up down the road. Now that's with older teams. So now I'm going to get to you coaches that have 8s, 9s, 10s, 11s, and 12s. If you're coaching youth baseball or softball, try to bat the entire lineup, right? Try to get everybody in the game every single day. And the reason I say that is it takes a lot of weight off your shoulders. By batting everybody, now you have an opportunity to do free defensive replacements. You can shuffle guys in and out all over the place. And you can also write your lineup ahead of time. Now, Duke showed all of our diagrams before with the practice plan, with the welcome letter. We also have another diagram that is the sample lineup card. And what I like to do for the younger ages is write out the lineup for the entire game. For the first inning, this is my lineup. This is my extra hitter. This is my other extra hitter, and this is my designated hitter. For inning 2, it's this. Inning 3, inning 4, and so on. This way, throughout the game, you don't have 6 kids pulling on your pocket wondering where they're playing next inning. It's done. It's on the dry erase board, or it's on your lineup card in the dugout, and the game's going to take care of itself. Now you can develop the players. Now you can actually manage the game instead of trying to sit there and be fair and write out a lineup every single inning, to make everybody happy. So when you're coaching youth baseball or softball, I would try your best to bat everyone, get everybody in the same amount of innings, especially in pool play games, in league games where there's not a championship on the line. Do your best to get everybody in there. And Duke and I, we coach the same team from 11U through 15U. That's a lot of seasons, spring, summer, and fall. And I would say probably 90% of the time, up until 15U, we batted everybody. Once we got to the playoffs, once we got to, a championship, then we'd cut the lineup down, sometimes 9, sometimes 10. And the reason being, if we're playing a really good team and there's a big game on the line and that team's batting 9 and we're batting 12, well, we're at a significant disadvantage before, the umpire says play ball. So before that, pool play, league games, get everybody in there, do your best to get everybody in the lineup, free defensive replacements, shuffle them in and out, and really try to set that lineup ahead of time, and you'll see how much smoother the game actually goes.